Okay, I think, yes, I think we're live. Yeah, we're live. Okay, what's up, everybody? I'm Bucky Badger W, and welcome back to another live stream, I guess. Today is a kind of a dreary Sunday afternoon in Minnesota. I had nothing to do, so I decided why don't I can maybe start a series of this doing a college football predictions using the website Playoff Predictors. It makes it a lot easier than just doing it, um, by hand or whatever. But yeah, so I think basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go week by week, predict every game. Obviously, take some more time with some than others because they're going to be bigger slash less chances of a blowout games. Um, and yeah, I guess we're just gonna see where that gets us. Let me make this a little bigger. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna see where that gets us. Hopefully, while doing that, I'm able to also talk about the teams because that's really what I want to do here is really give my breakdown of the teams. Um, talk about what I think of them going into the season because it's going to be an exciting season this year in the Big Ten, I think. So I can center that. Yeah, I can center that. Let's get started. With week one. Why does that keep my browser keeps jumping all over the place on the stream? But see, there it goes again. Anybody seen anybody seen that? Okay, whatever. We'll just put it there. Yeah, because now when it does that, okay. Well, the first half of this stream has just been me trying to get that my window correctly aligned on the stream, but whatever. Um, let's get started with week one. Um, actually, this is a week zero matchup between Nebraska and Illinois. Probably the best week zero matchup of the college football season, even though it is Nebraska. By the way, I'm sorry about the ads. I can't really do anything about those, unfortunately. But yeah, so we got Nebraska and Illinois. Obviously, you're going to see the standings there are kind of off to the side. Is my mouse is showing up on that? No, it isn't. But yeah, so the standings over there are showing up on the side. Games right here. I can pick whichever team, and it'll affect the standings that way. Um, but in week one, I think Illinois is not going to be a very good team. Uh, they got Brandon Peters back at quarterback, but I don't think that they lost their top receiver, Imator Bebe, and they weren't very great at receiver before that. So I'm not super excited about the receiver situation. I think their O line's solid. And their defense, I think, also I'm not super excited about. They don't have a ton of playmakers. Their offensive line is good, but it's like middling. They got Bielema, coach, who I don't really like. On the other end, Nebraska, I think Nebraska's going to be solid this year. They got Adrian Martinez back. They have a bunch of playmakers like Omar Bayless. Wandale Robinson, who was probably their top playmaker, he left them this offseason, so that was a big drop for them. Um, but they got Samaure Tori, transfer from Montana, who's supposed to be really good. He's coming in their defense. Their front seven should be really good. Then they got Cam Taylor Britt as a corner who people think is one of the top corners in the nation. Jojo Doman, who is a very versatile player in the front seven. They got beef, size up front. So I think even this game being in Champaign, I'm going to pick the Nebraska Cornhuskers here to get it started off with a week one victory. Okay. Please tell me that you can hear me. It would be such a bad thing if I posted this and then I went back and saw that nobody could hear me. Um, well, let's keep it moving with Ohio State and Minnesota. Uh, Still in week one here. Ohio State and Minnesota, I think, is a very interesting game. I think Minnesota. I know people that think Minnesota is actually going to win this game. I I'm a little hesitant on that, but I think Minnesota definitely they have the type of team and the good type of roster construction to be able to get it done. Um, they got Tanner Morgan at quarterback who had a kind of an off year last year, but he's still pretty good. And he's got Mo Ibrahim, Chris Ottman Bell at receiver. He's got playmakers who Ohio State secondary, they got Seven Banks back there, and I forget the other guy's name, but they got, I think, two veterans back there, but then the rest is very young. Their front seven of their defense is unstoppable. So, I mean, you really have to have good weapons to be able to beat Ohio State this year. I think that's what Minnesota has. They have a solid offensive line. On defense, they have playmakers. Boye Mafe, see him making some plays. Niles Pickney from Clemson, the transfer. Coney Durr on the back end could potentially be making plays. Mariano Martin, I think, is a very good player for them in the front seven. Um, but Ohio State, like I said, their front seven is absolutely stacked. Like Zach Harrison, Haskell Garrett, Tyreek Smith, all in the front seven who are all absolute monsters. Um, I don't know about draft coverage, but I could see all of them, potentially going in round one this year. Probably not Haskell Garrett actually, but um, the other two definitely. Had Haskell Garrett's a great player in college. Yeah, on the back end they just got Seven Banks and Josh Proctor, who are the two veterans, and then other than that, it's very unexperienced in the back end. Also, their linebackers are rather young. So the back seven on their defense is really where you could get Ohio State, which is where Minnesota is talented. Um, on offense, Ohio State's got playmakers galore: Chris Olave and Garrett Williams, Jackson Smith and Jiba. I mean, good luck stopping them. Yeah, really the only problem with their offense is C.J. Stroud at quarterback, who I don't really see him as a problem even. It's just that he's a freshman, so even though freshmen are getting acquainted to the college game quicker now, you can potentially see him slipping up week one. After all of that, I'm going to chalk it up to an Ohio State W because I think Ohio State, Ryan Day has said that Ohio State is locked in. They're getting ready for week one to face Minnesota. So although I think Minnesota potentially has the pieces to complete the upset, I don't think that Ohio State is taking that game for granted at all, especially since it's the first game. So Ohio State wins there. Michigan State and Northwestern here. Michigan State isn't going to be good. They got some playmakers, but really, they're not going to be a good team. Northwestern's going to face some regression where they don't have playmakers on offense. Their offensive line is decimated. Their offense probably isn't going to be very good. They still have some playmakers on defense, like Brandon Joseph, the safety. So I think that they'll be good on defense. Sam Dup Miller, Chris Bergen. Sorry, I'm reading the depth chart here, but yeah, so they got some guys on defense, and Michigan State's not going to be good. I think Northwestern's in for some regression this year, but Northwestern wins there. Purdue and Oregon State. I don't know a ton about how good Oregon State's going to be this year, but they weren't the best team of all time last year, even though they beat Oregon last year. And Purdue, I think they got playmakers. I think Oregon State had someone drafted in the. They had like a secondary guy drafted, so maybe their secondary is decimated. I'm going to go with Purdue in that game. Um, Temple and Rutgers. I think Rutgers is good. I'll talk later about Rutgers. I think they're definitely on the rise. I think that they're going to be a good team this year. Um, I'm going to pick them over Temple, not really knowing how great Temple is going to be. Temple's quarterback transferred to Michigan State, Anthony Russo, who I could see actually being solid at Michigan State, but so maybe Temple's decimated. I think, yeah, no, sorry for the ads here, but sorry, yeah, okay. But yeah, so Rutgers, I think are going to be good this year. They got playmakers like Bo Melton. I think is a very, very good player, very fast, can high point balls. Noah Vedral back at quarterback. Isaiah Pacheco, Aaron Cruikshank, the Wisconsin transfer, who was great in like the return game and stuff. They have an experienced offensive line. They have playmakers on defense. I think Rutgers is going to be for real this year. They win that week one game. Illinois, I actually after the loss week one to Nebraska, I have them losing again here to UTSA because I think UTSA is good. They have like a running back. I think his name's Sincere McCormick. He's a beast. He's a playmaker. He's like the Jarrett Patterson from Buffalo this year. So I think that they can go on the road UTSA and get that upset. I don't think Western Michigan, on the other hand, is able to upset Michigan. Don't know a ton about West Virginia this year. Here, actually, let me look them up. What's West Virginia working with this year? Um, okay, West Virginia. They got Jared Dagey and Letty Brown back. Dante Stills back. Okay, they got some guys back. I'll have them beating Maryland because I don't think Maryland's gonna be great this year. Even with Taulia, like they lost Jake Funk, their best running back. They're could they? I think West Virginia's secondary. I'm looking at their depth chart right now. It actually looks pretty solid. So I mean, even though Maryland has a very talented receiver core with Raheem Jarrett and Dante Demas, and they have like a speedy kind of defense, even if they're not great. I think the Wake Forest can bring this one home. I got Wisconsin over Penn State here. Obviously, I'm a Wisconsin fan. If you couldn't tell by the username, Bucky Badger W. I think that's probably a dead giveaway. But yeah, Wisconsin here over. I think the first game back in Camp Randall, that's going to be a big thing. Um, they're just going to be able to ground and pound against Penn State. I don't think Penn State's going to be ready. I think Wisconsin's preparing for Week 1. I think Penn State's a good team. Maybe if there was this was in Happy Valley, I'd be picking a little bit differently. But I think Sean Clifford is going to come into Week 1. Jim Leonard all offseason has been preparing with different blitz packages and stuff to get ready to absolutely trounce Sean Clifford, and I think he's going to be able to do it unless Jahan Dotson absolutely goes off. I think Wisconsin's defense is going to absolutely crush Penn State's offense, and then they're going to be able to get yards on the ground with Jalen Berger and whatnot. Um, Even though Penn State's defense, especially their front seven, is very talented, I think Wisconsin can. I think Wisconsin can beat them Week 1. Iowa and Indiana now probably the game of Week 1, not across the nation, but in the Big Ten. You got two of the Big Ten teams with more expectations. Um, Iowa and Indiana coming off of that great season last year. Iowa, another very good end to the season. I mean, Indiana, they go what 6-1 in the regular season. Only lost at Ohio State, a 7-point game, and then a 6-point Outback Bowl loss to Ole Miss, where it's like where they really even trying. Um, they're gonna get Michael Penix back. Penix, sorry. Um, they're gonna get him back, which they didn't have at the end of the year. Even when they beat Wisconsin, they didn't have Penix. Um, they're going to get Ty Freifel go back, Miles Marshall. So they have playmakers on offense. Penix back. They return all 5 starters on the offensive line. They got playmakers again on defense. Tiawan Mullen at corner. Marcelino Ball, linebacker. Micah McFadden, a linebacker. They have playmakers on defense. Their defense, it was one of the top in the nation last year. They're going to be near the top of the nation, I think, again. And their offense, if Penix can stay healthy, is going to be great. On the other hand, you got Iowa, who they got Petrus at quarterback, Spencer Petrus, who is very inaccurate, not very good, I think. They lose their best receiver in Amir Smith Marsup, but they keep Tyrone Tracy, who I think is a very good player. Um, Tyler Goodson, the running back, is one of the best in the nation, which Indiana lost. Stevie Scott was their very good running back, a bruiser. Tyler Goodson's more of a elusive type of guy who can run away from people. They got Sam Laporta, one of the best tight ends in the nation, and an elite offensive line. Is led by Tyler Linderbaum, maybe the best offensive lineman in the country. Their defensive front seven, I think, is very good. Zan Van Valkenbach is a very good player. Um, their secondary is elite. It's stacked. Matt Hankins, Riley Moss, Jack Corner, Kayvon Merriweather, just to name a few guys in that secondary. Week 1, I have Iowa winning. I think Indiana is going to be the better team than Iowa. Week 1 at Kinnick Field, Indiana maybe some trouble living up to, or some trouble dealing with expectations. The first time Indiana's had expectations like this since a very long time. So I think Iowa is able to come in more familiar in this situation and win in Week 1. So we're 15 minutes into this live stream, just into Week 1. I think I talked a lot about the teams though in Week 1, so we'll go faster along as we go on this. It'll probably end up being like a 45-minute live stream. Um, okay, week two, Iowa at Iowa State. The Cy-Hawk battle. I think this is one of the bigger games of the season for both the Big 12 and the Big 10. We just talked about Iowa, their strengths and weaknesses. Iowa State, I think, a lot of people think are going to be a very good team. I think they're going to be a very good team. Um, they returned Brees Hall, probably to me the best running back in the nation. So this is going to be a battle of two great running backs. They returned Brock Purdy, senior quarterback who knows how to get it done. Xavier Hutchinson, a wide receiver. Charlie Kohler, a tight end. Like they returned so many. Like Mike Ross, the linebacker. He's probably the best defensive player in the. No, he's not. But best defensive player in the Big 12 would probably be Nick Bonito of Oklahoma. But Mike Ross is up there, definitely. He's a great player. Um, they returned basically everybody on defense. Like and it's at Iowa State. So, I mean, Iowa, they constantly beat Iowa State, right? I mean, it feels like for the longest time it's just been Iowa and Iowa State, and like they've been very similar teams, but Iowa's won by some BS at the end of the game, which they shouldn't have won by. Well, I don't like Iowa since I'm a Wisconsin fan, so yeah, they won by some BS at the end of a game. I think Iowa State, though, this year it could be a little bit different. I mean, because they returned so much more talented. Like Iowa State's better than Iowa, and you know, I think Iowa State's definitely the better team. It's just it feels like Iowa always wins this game. It really does. Um, Man, you almost have to flip a coin on this game, right? I mean, I'm gonna go. Hmm, I don't know if Iowa. Man, see, that's a brutal start to the season. They're beating or playing Indiana and Iowa State back to back. One of them on the road. Let's see. I'm gonna go with for this game. I don't know. I have no idea. I'll come back to that game. Go first here. Indiana over Idaho, obviously. Michigan State over Youngstown State. Youngstown State, maybe. I don't know how to pronounce that. Northwestern over Indiana State. Back to Iowa versus Iowa State. I'm going to go with, as a Wisconsin fan, and knowing that I absolutely hate Iowa, and I would 100% be rooting for them to lose this game. But I have the feeling that they're going to go into Iowa State and they're going to win that game. I think Iowa wins the Cy-Hawk Trophy again. Even as the underdog, I think that they can do it. Pull it off in week two. A very impressive 2-0 for Iowa. If they win those two games, they'll be like a top 10 team easily to start the season. Maybe a top 5 team to start the season, like in the AP poll or whatever. Now we got Oregon at Ohio State. Let's see. Man, I think Ohio State wins this one. I think Ohio State kind of, after getting some experience in a tough, maybe close game against Minnesota week one, and I don't think Oregon is as talented as people make them out to be. I mean, here, let's look at Oregon's roster here. I mean, yeah, they got a new QB that's going to be very tough against Ohio State's front seven, which is absolutely ridiculous. They have some playmakers. Obviously, they have Kayvon Thibodeau, Noah Sewell. Like their front seven is stacked. But it would be It maybe be a different story if the game was in Eugene. But at the Horseshoe, I have a tough time seeing Oregon win this game. Sorry, Oregon fans. Okay, Ball State and Penn State. I think Ball State. Yeah, Ball State won the. They won the MAC last year, so they are. And then they beat. Who did they beat in there? I can't remember who they beat then in their bowl game. They beat San Jose State. They crushed San Jose State. They only lost week one, a very close game to Miami of Ohio. That said, I don't see Penn State dropping to 0-2 here. That'd be that's maybe a game to look out for Penn State, but I see them winning. Syracuse sucks. Rutgers, we've already talked about, other underrated and are going to be good. Rutgers wins that game. Week 2. Purdue at UConn. UConn sucks. Purdue, well, okay. Michigan and Washington. Let's see. This is a tough game at the Big House. Michigan. Did I talk about them? I don't think I did. I think Michigan's going to be good. In my power rankings, I have Michigan as the 5th best team in the Big Ten ahead of Penn State. I have Ohio State, Wisconsin, Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, Penn State, Minnesota, then Northwestern, maybe Nebraska. That's how it's kind of gone. Um, Rutgers in there. But Michigan, I think they have a veteran offensive line, which good things tend to happen when they have veteran offensive lines. They have Ronnie Bell back, their best receiver. Hassan Haskins back, their running back. Cade McNamara, he's not an official returning starter at quarterback, but he looked solid for them last year. He didn't look great, but he didn't look bad either. Um, they got Aiden Hutchinson, Christopher Hinton, and Donovan Jeter um, in the front 4, which is going to be terrifying for opposing offenses. Josh Rose also, David Ojabo, who I really like. And then the back 7, they got one of the best safety tandems, or one of the best playmaking safety tandems, in Brad Hawkins and Daxton Hill back there. So I think Michigan's going to be really good this year. See what Washington's working with. Let's try to read off Washington's defensive depth chart, see how many crazy names we come across. Okay, so Washington on defense, they have Tuli Letiligacenoa, Tui Tele, Ryan Bowman. Okay, there's a kind of easy to pronounce name. There we go. Okay. Edifuan Ulo Foshio, Jackson Sermon, Jeremiah Martin, Brendan Radley Hiles, Dominique Hamilton, Trent McDuffie, Asa Turner, Cameron Williams. Okay, so it's not that bad. They just got, of their first 4 guys, they got some hard names to pronounce, which you usually expect from Washington and Pac-12 teams in general. But yeah, so Washington's front 7 is looking pretty good. Their defense is looking pretty good. Dylan Moore's returning at quarterback. I wasn't super impressed with him last year. Yeah, I don't. Nah, to me, Washington doesn't look that great. I'm gonna go with Michigan here by a fair margin. We're at 23 minutes already. This is going a lot longer than I planned. Maryland over Howard, obviously. Minnesota over Miami of Ohio. Nebraska, yeah, over Buffalo. Illinois and Virginia. Is Virginia good? Yeah, Virginia. Brennan Armstrong back at quarterback. Wayne Talapolato back at Talapapa, my bad. Back at running back. Yeah, they got some other solid players, I think, there. So I'm going to go with Virginia there, especially it being in Virginia. Eastern Michigan and Wisconsin. Some people think Wisconsin's going to lose that game. There's no way Wisconsin loses that game. May have just jinxed them, but yeah, Wisconsin wins that game week 2. So now looking at the stands, we got, Illinois 0-3. That's not great. This week they got Maryland. Oof. Only undefeated teams left: Nebraska, Wisconsin, Northwestern, Iowa, Purdue, Ohio State, Rutgers, and Michigan. Okay. Let's go on to week 3. Got Minnesota at Colorado. How's Colorado looking? So I don't know a ton about teams outside of the Big Ten, and I've kind of dove into the SEC also. So I think this Penn State, is this the week they play Auburn? Yeah, okay, so I'll know about Auburn. That's about it of the non-conference teams. Oh, and Cincinnati, since they're good, and Notre Dame. Colorado. They look... Oh, yeah, they got Sam Neuer and Jarek Broussard. Levante Chenault. Oh, not LaVisca. Okay. But, yeah, so they got those 2 back at quarterback and running back. And Minnesota's going on the road to take them on. Man. Into the mountains in Colorado. That's a good Colorado team. I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go with. I think this is the type of game that Minnesota actually wins. It's Colorado. I think if they just commit to stopping Broussard, and maybe they don't even do that, but I think that they can put up enough points in this one to be able to take home, a really hard fought game. Although Colorado, if I do Pac-12 predictions eventually, I think Colorado they look good. They'll end up being one of the better teams, I think. Northwestern at Duke. I think Northwestern is pretty good. How's Duke looking? Oh, Duke is not looking good at all. Yeah, Duke is not. Duke is not good. They're not good in the slightest. Northwestern's definitely winning that game. Cincinnati at Indiana. Okay, so Cincinnati this year is stacked. They got Desmond Ritter back at quarterback, Jerome Ford back at running back. He was a playmaker last year. Not a ton of guys back at receiver, but that's okay. Myjai Sanders is a menace on the defensive end. Um, Sauce Gardner back in the secondary. So I think Cincinnati actually here goes into Indiana, and Indiana off to a rough 1-2 start, not being able to kind of temper the expectations because I think actually Cincinnati is a better team than Indiana this year, and I think they're going to be able to go in week one. Luke Fickle is going to be able to, sorry, not week one, week three. Luke Fickle is going to be able to lead them in there to Indiana and get the win. They got at Notre Dame, Temple, UCF, at Navy after that. So that's a little bit of a brutal schedule after that there for Cincinnati, but they can probably make it work. They're a good team. They're a really good team. That's why I have them beating Indiana. Okay, Purdue and Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a lot better than Purdue. Notre Dame plays a couple of Big Ten teams this year. Jack Cohn at quarterback. My guy Jack Cohn. Sorry that he left Wisconsin, but yeah, he's there. Kyron Williams is there. Notre Dame's still going to be good. They're going to be Purdue. Um, Tulsa at Ohio State. Ohio State. No more Zaven Collins for Tulsa. Nebraska at Oklahoma. Another playoff team. I think that Nebraska is going to face. That's going to be a tough game. Auburn at Penn State is an interesting game. I think Auburn is more. I don't think that Auburn's super talented, and I don't think that they're going to be a great team in the SEC this year. They got Tank Bigsby, they got an experienced offensive line, and then they got some guys on defense. They got Smoke Monday, Jacoby McClain, beast, Owen Poplo, beast, Derek Hall, beast, Tyrone Truesdell, absolute beast, Colby Wooden, absolute beast. So they got some guys on defense. Penn State's probably not going to be able to score a ton, but also I'm not very confident in Auburn scoring a ton. With Bo Nix at quarterback, and other than Tank Bigsby, they're not really much on offense. And I think I have trouble seeing them go into Happy Valley and scoring a ton of points. I think the Nittany Lions can create turnovers, and I think that they win this game like 17-10 or something. Delaware at Rutgers. Let's go with Rutgers. Maryland at Illinois. Talked about Maryland. We talked about Illinois. I think Maryland's better. Champaign, at this point, if they're 0-3, probably isn't that great of a home field advantage. Go with Maryland. Michigan will take over Northern Illinois. Miami, no-brainer over Michigan State. Miami's going to be good. Michigan State isn't. Kent State with Dustin Crum going into Iowa after Iowa having beaten Indiana and Iowa State. That's going to be a potential trap game for the Hawkeyes, but I see them kind of narrowly pulling one out after potentially surrendering a lot of points to Crum and Kent State, maybe winning a shootout, like 41-34 or something. Okay, we're through week 4 and through week 3. We're at almost half an hour now of the stream. Let's keep it over. There's going to be less non-conference games now, so there's going to be less games. It's going to move faster. Okay, Nebraska at Michigan State. I'm going to go with Nebraska here because Michigan State is not good. I think it's going to be an interesting game here, seeing if Nebraska can go on the road to a not good team and win and win, a potentially tough road game, maybe squeak one out. It's going to be interesting to see if they can do that. If they can, I think that they'll be on their way to being a good team this year. I think they do. They'll be 3-1. Ohio and Northwestern. I'm going to go with Northwestern, no brainer. Akron at Ohio State, no brainer. Ohio State, obviously Penn State over Villanova. Illinois at Purdue. Hmm. Purdue. Illinois isn't good. Once again, they're off to an 0-5 start. Man, they got to start winning some games. Illinois, but yeah, this is not where they get that win. Purdue. Purdue will take the easy win on their schedule, and they'll go to 3-1. Um, Rutgers at Michigan. A very, very interesting game for Rutgers. And I think actually Rutgers is able to go into the big house and take down Michigan. Even though I think Michigan's the better team than Rutgers, I think they can kind of catch Michigan off here. Michigan coming off of the Washington win, right? No, coming off a Northern Illinois win. But, maybe this is a noon game. Michigan having a tough time getting up for it. And I think Rutgers is able to go into the big house and pull out a win here and say to the country, we're a top 25 team. We're here. Kent State of Maryland. Man, I think Maryland probably sees that Iowa got a scare from Kent State the week before and is able to pull this one out. Minnesota, they'll beat Bowling Green. Wisconsin and Notre Dame. Okay. So Notre Dame this year, they're kind of trying to go through their strengths and weaknesses here. They've got Jack Cohen and Kyron Williams, which is great at quarterback and running back. They got Matthew Mayer at tight end. So Williams and Mayer are two ridiculously great playmakers. They have a very inexperienced offensive line, but it's Notre Dame, so they'll be talented. They got some playmakers on defense, but they're not going to be as good on defense. They got Kyle Hamilton on defense, but that isn't going to help them a ton because Wisconsin isn't going to throw a ton this game. This game is at Soldier Field. I'm hoping to go to this game. I don't think I'm going to be able to, but I think Wisconsin is going to be able to win this game over Notre Dame in a look ahead game for Notre Dame, looking ahead to Cincinnati, and I think it's probably not going to be a look ahead game, but I just think that I get a feel with Wisconsin, and usually my feel isn't wrong. I get a feel that this is the type of game that they would win. Kind of a neutral site game. They're going to be able to pound the rock against Notre Dame. They're going to be able to get after the quarterback. It's going to sting if we lose to Jack Cohen, but it's going to be sweet if we beat him. I think we can beat him. Colorado State at Iowa. I'll take Iowa. Don't know how great Colorado State is this year. I assume they're not that great, though. Indiana at Western Kentucky. Is Western Kentucky much of anything this year? Let's look up their ranking. Are they supposed to be that good? We're already 0-1 against the CUSA with the loss of Illinois to who'd they lose to? Dang, they lost to UTSA. Yeah, Western Kentucky doesn't look special, so Indiana. Okay, on to week 5. Western Kentucky not looking special at Michigan State. Michigan State gets the win. Okay, let's go on to Indiana and Penn State. Indiana potentially facing going to 2-3, and I think that they do it here at Happy Valley. That's a tough place to play if you're sliding as a football team. And seeing as Penn State lost to them last year, they're going to need to get their revenge. I think Jahan Dotson has a big game. I think that they forced turnovers by Penix. And I think they're able to win the game. So I think the Penn State here sends Indiana to 2-3. Such big expectations. Indiana's going to get better as the season goes on, but yeah, tough start. Yeah, I mean they start at Iowa, then they got Cincinnati, Penn State, got Ohio State 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, but the bye at Michigan. Yeah, it's a tough schedule for Indiana. It's going to be tough for them to be really good this year. Minnesota at Purdue. I actually think Purdue is able to win this one. Minnesota, they squeaked by against Colorado. They're not going to be able to squeak by in this game. David Bell, a big-time playmaker, I think is able to burn them. And I think Purdue is able to get the victory here week 5 against Minnesota. Ohio State, they go at Rutgers, probably a big, college football Saturday night game after Rutgers beats Michigan. Ohio State's going to go in there like they did to Nebraska a couple years ago, and they're just going to slaughter them. Rutgers is not ready to contend with the likes of Ohio State. That's fine. Illinois and Charlotte here. Charlotte's supposed to be anything special. No, they're not. Yeah, Charlotte is actually supposed to be quite bad. So Illinois there, they get their first win of the season. Go to 1-5. Iowa at Maryland. This may be a closer game than people think. So Iowa, at this point, they're 4-0. I could see this being, kind of like the game between Minnesota and Maryland last year. Taulia could have a big game. You're not expecting what they're going to throw at you. And, this could definitely be a trap game for Iowa. Maryland could be, I think Maryland could definitely win this game. Yeah, I'm going to say that they do. I'm going to say that Maryland upsets Iowa here. They're able to throw all over their secondary, even with Iowa's secondary being really good. Talia is able to pick it apart. Iowa creates too many turnovers. They lose. Northwestern at Nebraska. I think Northwestern, they go into Nebraska and they get the upset here. They go to what? Oh, 5-0. Okay, Northwestern. They go to 5-0 after being able to shut down Nebraska's run game. After that, Nebraska, throwing it all over the place. Northwestern's getting interceptions, turning into opportunities for themselves. Yes, it's a good situation here. Give me a second. Okay, I'm back. Is that a little cough there? Um, okay, let's go. Okay, Michigan and Wisconsin. Gonna go with Wisconsin here. Wisconsin's on a roll up to now 4-0. I just think at Camp Randall, Michigan's not gonna win. Sorry, but Wisconsin's crushed them the last 2 times. They're gonna crush them again for a Week 5 victory. Okay. 38 minutes into the live stream. Let's go into Week 6. Maryland at Ohio State. Don't be silly, Maryland. Even after coming off the win, Ohio State's winning this one. Michigan State at Rutgers. Rutgers is able to rebound, go to 5-1. Wisconsin at Illinois, potentially a trap game. It's definitely a big-time trap game for Wisconsin here. So after Michigan and going into Army, I'm tempted here. Man, I'm tempted to give us the loss. I really am. Man, I'm so tempted to give us the loss. I'm not going to do that, though. I'm going to give us the win here against Illinois. I will not predict us to lose to Brett Bielema. You're welcome. Scary Alvarez on Twitter. You're welcome. Michigan at Nebraska. Probably a closer game than it has been in past years, but Nebraska's kind of starting to slip. Michigan's able to rebound. Did they lose last week? Yeah, they lost. After 2-game skid, they're able to rebound and get the dub here against Nebraska. Penn State at Iowa. Coming off of a tough loss, Iowa at home against Penn State. Iowa's probably the better team. Penn State's not going to be able to do much offensively against them. Jahan Dotson's not going to be able to get anything against that secondary, which is kind of ironic because I just said Maryland would be able to throw against that secondary. That's just going to be a fluke game, though. Penn State's not going to be able to do that. Iowa's going to win by a fair margin here. Okay, on to Week 7. Michigan State at Indiana. Indiana's 2-3. They're not going to lose this game. They're not going to go to 2-4 with a loss against Michigan State. They're going to win. Michigan State drops to 2-5. Rutgers at Northwestern. Probably. See, Northwestern is undefeated here. I'm going to say Northwestern. I'm going to say Northwestern is able to pull this one out at home. Even though they don't have a great home field advantage, they're at home. Rutgers isn't a giant yet. They're a good team, but they're not unbeatable by any means. Northwestern is able to get the victory here with that good defense. Nebraska and Minnesota. Minnesota's going to be able to throw all over them. Nebraska's once again on a skid. They're going to lose again. Minnesota goes to 4-2. Army at Wisconsin. I think this is potentially a trap game, but also this is a good matchup for Wisconsin because Army. I think sometimes it's better to be able to throw against Army, but also I think Wisconsin could run it down Army's throat. But then also I think Wisconsin's front seven is definitely the strength of their defense. They'll be able to stop that Army triple option, and I think squeak it out in like a 17-7 game or something. Potentially hold Army scoreless. We're at 6-0. Iowa hosting Purdue. Purdue is always a tough matchup for Iowa, seemingly. But I'm gonna go with it. They are a tough matchup for Iowa usually. But Purdue is a team that's big on throwing the football a lot. The running game is not good. They were the 124th ranked rushing offense in the NFL, in college football last year. So I'm going to go with Iowa here, even though it could come back to bite me. I wouldn't be mad if Purdue lost. Obviously, I'd be happy if Purdue won. But yeah, so 42 minutes in now. Let's go to week 8. Ohio State at Indiana. Another loss for Indiana. Once Ohio State gets going, I haven't talked about them a ton, but once Ohio State gets going, they're not going to lose in the Big Ten. Like, they're so much more talented than everybody else. Their quarterback is going to end up, by the end of the season, being one of the best in the Big Ten. Master Teague's one of the best running backs. They have an experienced, great offensive line. They have probably the 2 best receivers in Olave and Wilson in the Big Ten. They have 3 of the best defensive linemen, no doubt, in the Big Ten. And then by the time their linebackers and corners and secondary get experience, they're going to be great too. So I think it's going to be, once they get rolling, they're going to be really tough to stop. Illinois at Penn State. Illinois sucks. Penn State wins. Illinois drops to 1-7. Wisconsin at Purdue. See, Wisconsin, hypothetically by Wisconsin's schedule, I think all of these games I would favor them to win. But then also I know they're not going to go undefeated. So I have to predict them to lose one game. And I think a team that can throw all over them, a team that can potentially stop the run, a team that is at home, a team that has won big games like this against Ohio State, I think Purdue is the game that we lose. Okay, we dropped to 6-1. Northwestern at Michigan. I'm going to go with here Michigan. Giving Northwestern its first loss. But yeah, Michigan at home, the better team. They're going to be able to run on Northwestern. Their defense is too big, or it's too good for Northwestern, for Northwestern's offense. At the Big House, Michigan wins. Maryland at Minnesota. I think Minnesota probably, they see what Maryland's doing here. They've gotten that upset. Okay, I didn't predict that game. My bad. Didn't predict their game against Kent State. They win that game. But yeah, they see Maryland upsetting Iowa there. They're not gonna fall for that trick, and they lost to Maryland last year, so they got revenge. Okay, see the conferences here. It counts the playoff predictors. The one flaw with playoff predictors, college at least, is that it counts non-conference games into the conference record, or I guess it just doesn't count conference games at all. So the non-conference counts into the record. By the end of this, though, we'll sort it out and we'll have a Big Ten champion, a Big Ten championship game. Okay, only 5 more weeks left. Michigan at Michigan State. Oh, I'm gonna go with Michigan State here. I think that this is kind of the one game that Michigan State can get on the Big Ten. They've lost every game in the Big Ten, right? Yes, they have. Um, yeah, I think they're normally a very tough match for Michigan. They beat them last year. They have they don't have a lot, but they do have some playmakers. They're going to be able to stop the run, which is what Michigan's going to do. That's always what Michigan State does. They're going to be able to stop the run, and I think that they can make enough big plays on offense to win this game. Minnesota at Northwestern. Wisconsin always loses at Northwestern. I don't think that Minnesota's going to. I think that Northwestern's defense isn't good enough to continuously stop Minnesota, and their offense sucks. Minnesota goes into Northwestern and takes a tough game. Penn State, Ohio State. Ohio State. I'm not going to talk too much about the Ohio State games anymore because we know they're going to win. Rutgers at Illinois. Illinois is not good. Rutgers goes to 6-2. Okay, Rutgers really on the rise here. Indiana, Maryland. Maryland isn't able to pull their same tricks anymore. I think the kind of exotic blitzes that Indiana likes, they're going to be able to kind of stunt against Maryland, and they're going to be able to throw the ball all over Maryland. Maryland's defense isn't great. Purdue at Nebraska. Give me a second. Purdue at Nebraska. I'll go with Nebraska at home. Kind of two evenly matched teams. I'll go with Nebraska. Iowa, Wisconsin, two evenly matched teams once again. I think Wisconsin has the slight advantage at quarterback, even though I haven't talked a ton about Wisconsin, but Wisconsin's going to ground you. They're going to pound you. I'm not super confident in Mertz, but he gets more weapons back. I think that Mertz he's a very good quarterback. He has shown that he has the potential to be. He gets his weapons back. They can ground you. They can pound you. Like I said, their front seven is great. Jim Leonard is awesome as a defensive coordinator. Their secondary is going to be key to their success this year, but I think Caesar Williams and Faion Hicks, they're up for the challenge. And at home against Iowa, they're rather even teams, but Wisconsin's better. Wisconsin's better, and they're at home, so I think that they can win this game. Gonna go with Wisconsin. Okay. Out of week 10, yeah, I'm gonna go with Wisconsin there. Definitely over Iowa. No way, I'm picking Iowa. Okay. Whoa, my stream is way behind. Okay. Let's go. Okay, yeah. Yeah, my stream is way behind me. But okay, Iowa and Northwestern. Now a big game, but Iowa's the better team. Northwestern's kind of starting to slide. Iowa wins. Michigan State at Purdue. Can Michigan State make a run at a bowl game here? No, I think Purdue wins, and Purdue gets to a bowl game here at 6-3. Congrats to them. Wisconsin at Rutgers, we've already had our loss. We're not going to lose this one. We're going to be able to beat Rutgers and Aaron Cruikshank. I love Aaron Cruikshank. Penn State at Maryland. Indiana at Michigan. Ooh, an interesting game here. I'm going to go with Indiana because I don't think Michigan. I'm higher on Michigan, but I don't think Michigan is nearly as talented. And Indiana's kind of starting to get on a roll here. Penn State and Maryland. I'm going to go with Penn State because they have a elite secondary. What Maryland likes to do is throw the football. They're not going to be able to do that very well. Maryland has a solid secondary, but Jahan Dotson is going to be able to light them up. Penn State wins at Maryland. Ohio State wins. Nebraska, Illinois, and Minnesota. Minnesota. No questions asked. Okay. That's going to keep intact. Yes. Okay, so now we got Wisconsin at 8-1, Minnesota 7-2, Iowa 7-2, Purdue, Northwestern 6-3, Nebraska 4-5, Illinois 1-9. And then in the East, you got Ohio State at 9-0, Penn State at 9-3, Rutgers at 6-3, Indiana at 5-4, Michigan at 5-4, Maryland 4-5, Michigan State 3-6. Interesting. We'll go Indiana over Rutgers here. Indiana's the better team. They're at home. Yeah. Maryland at Michigan State. I think that Michigan State can pick up a win here. Maryland's starting to slide. Even though Michigan State's the worst team, they're at home, and I think they have a good home field advantage at Spartan Stadium. I think that's a tough place to play, especially if they start to get it rolling. Ohio State's able to beat Purdue. They're not on the road at Purdue this time, so they'll be able to win. Michigan at Penn State. Let's go in Happy Valley. You got to go with Penn State. I think I have Michigan as better, which not a lot of people do, but in Happy Valley, I think that, and what Michigan wants to do a lot is they want to run the ball and then kind of mix in the play action. Off of running the ball to guys like Ronnie Bell. I think that's something that Penn State's going to be able to stop because I think they have a good front seven and then even better defensive backs. And then Michigan has deficiencies at corner. Jahan Dotson, one of the better receivers in the Big Ten, definitely. You saw that one-handed catch against Ohio State. He's amazing. He's going to be able to light them up. Southeastern and Louisiana and Nebraska. Definitely going with Nebraska. Getting to 5-5. We'll see if they can make a bowl. Wisconsin here, a pivotal game against Northwestern. They're able to take it. And Wisconsin now takes the Big Ten West by the horns, as Iowa was able to beat Minnesota at home, being the better team. Iowa pretty much always beats Minnesota also, so there's that. So now Wisconsin basically in sole control of the Big Ten of the Big Ten West at because they've lost one conference game. Iowa's lost 2. Minnesota's lost 3, right? Yeah, they've lost 3. Purdue's lost Purdue's lost 3. Northwestern has lost 4. Yeah, Northwestern's lost 4. Yeah, okay. So Wisconsin's pretty much in control. It's going to all pretty much come down to that last week game against Minnesota, and even then, it's really just Iowa in the running. So, I guess if Wisconsin wins this week, they're in the Big Ten championship game, which they will do because they're at home against Nebraska. Minnesota at Indiana. Go with Indiana. They're definitely starting to get on a roll here. So I think that. Come on. Okay. So yeah, I think that they're starting to get on a roll. Their talent is starting to show. They're able to beat Minnesota. Purdue at Northwestern. We'll go with Northwestern. More talented team at home. Ohio State definitely over Michigan State. Penn State in Happy Valley. They get a lot of their tougher games in Happy Valley. They're able to beat Rutgers, but yeah. So they play at Wisconsin, but yeah, they play Auburn in Happy Valley, Indiana in Happy Valley, Michigan, Rutgers, in Happy Valley. So yeah, they play a lot of. They're 7-0 at home, 1-3 on the road. I have them. Okay, my mic went off there for a second. Michigan at Maryland. I think Michigan here is able to put Maryland away and get to a bowl game themselves at 6-5. Kind of stumbling to a bowl game, but they get there. Harbaugh, if they're in the right minds, Harbaugh's probably fired, right? But we don't know if they are. I was able to beat Illinois. Okay. Week 13, last week of the Big Ten season. Iowa at Nebraska. Iowa always wins on some stupid stuff in that game, so I think Iowa wins that one. Penn State at Michigan State. Penn State's able to close out the season with a win. Michigan State not really much to play for. Well, I guess other than the rivalry. Indiana, Purdue, the rivalry on the line. Indiana's able to get it done. They finished at 8-4. Maryland at Rutgers. And Maryland, not really anything on the line. Rutgers is the better team. They finished at 7-5. Good for Rutgers. Northwestern, able to beat Illinois, obviously. Go to 8-4. Ohio State, they always beat Michigan. We're not concerned about them potentially beating Michigan. They're going to win. And then Michigan's finishes at 6-6. Not ideal. Oh, I forgot about that one. Yep. Wisconsin and Minnesota. Gonna go with Wisconsin. We're not gonna lose to Minnesota. Come on. We're not losing to Minnesota. Did I forget any games? No, I did not. Okay, just know Big Ten championship game. I'm going with Ohio State over Wisconsin. I want to go with Wisconsin, but I can't. Sorry. What did I just do? I just clicked randomize week. Sorry, but okay. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's back to where I had it. Okay. Let's get it back centered. Yeah, okay, so that's the end of my nearly hour long. We almost went an hour long. Big Ten football season preview. It was a good stream. I don't know if anyone popped in along the way. People will watch back though, hopefully. I'll use this for reference. But yeah, until next time, I'm Bucky Badger W saying peace out. Have a great rest of your day. Let's hope this Big Ten football season is pretty good. I think I picked some upsets in here. I think it'll, if it's anything like this one, it'll be a pretty fun season. Okay, see you next time.